The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yaros. This is 632 pages, 39 chapters, and about 20 minutes per chapter, depending on your reading speed. I really enjoyed this. It flew by, and with the tagline "Fly or Die," this is a combination of Harry Potter and the Hunger Games if it was R-rated. So that mixture in mind, this is about a 20-year-old main character. Her name is Violet. She is part of a military family and lives in a kingdom at war. So her mother is a general in the military and a dragon rider. Her two older siblings were both dragon riders as well, but her father was a scribe. And so the war college has different specializations and called four quadrants. There's the basic infantry, healers, scribes, and dragon riders. So the focus is mainly on the dragon rider quadrant because that's what she goes into, but she's torn because growing up, she's expected to go into the Scribe Quadrant. She has a little bit of a physical, she gets injured really easily. I don't know how to describe it other than that. Her joints and bones have broken a lot as she was younger. And so she actually follows her mother on some deployments and has lived all over the kingdom with her and her best friend, Dane. So Dane is a year ahead of her, and so she's a first year at the War College. Dane is a second year, and Xaden is a third year. And so those are the main characters that we concern ourselves with, and her two siblings. So her mother is a very distinguished general. Her power that comes from her dragon, all dragon riders get a power that's channeled through them called a signet, a primary ability, and then the lesser magics. They can open doors, project their voice, do some basic things, use a pen without, using ink. All those are lesser magics, but the signet is their signature combination between the dragon and the rider and is different for every person. So, and there's all kinds of different dragons, and the dragons choose the riders. So that's pretty key, right? Kind of what Harry Potter was trying to get at with the wands choose the wizards. And so the kingdom is at war. They're kind of like these griffin type things that the opposing kingdom rides. And we really don't see much of that until the end because she's a first year, right? She's in training, and first years are presented for the dragons to gain them. So we've got objective number one, to survive the school, and in that you have to survive the opponents. All of the people in your year, there's not enough dragons for them, and so it's almost like a culling in that death is permitted just because there aren't enough dragons, and it kind of strengthens those who are left. The strongest are left standing. Um, really, it's about finding who she is, finding out where she stands in the shadow of her family, because she has such distinguished family members. Even her older sister is out there, being an awesome lieutenant and kicking butt, and is very distinguished as well. So the Dragon Rider Quadrant has different stages. The first is the parapet. It's this long, narrow bridge that you have to survive just to get into the college. There's challenges. Any recruit can challenge another in their year. And it's not usually to the death, but it's hand-to-hand combat, which is interesting because the dragons and magic and all that stuff, you'd think that they wouldn't need to do hand-to-hand combat, but that's what they focus on there. The gauntlet, the veil is where the dragons live, and so the gauntlet is the recruits climbing up an obstacle course, and I totally pictured American Ninja Warrior here. While this is going on, they've got moving pieces, and it's to test the recruits. And then after the gauntlet, those who survive do presentation in front of the dragons. They walk in a single file in front of all the dragons, the unbound dragons that are willing to bond that year. And then after presentation is called threshing. They just release the recruits into the forest with all the dragons, and they find each other. If your dragon is willing to bind, you hop on and ride off, and all your training is good, and you learn to be a dragon rider. If you fail, you either die or get another chance next year. So any recruit not bound to a dragon can try again. So that adds some challenges, and that experienced recruits can challenge and stuff next year. But yeah. So then after threshing is squad games, then war games, then graduation. So that's the layout of the plot. That's the steps that she has to overcome, Violet, the main character, on her way to becoming a dragon rider. So things I really liked. This was creative. It was, it required all of Violet's creativity. It required all of her cunning and courage just to survive, but also to find herself and excel and become who she wants to be. Acceleration, the plot literally flew by. It was a breakneck pace, didn't let up. It was just boom, 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 next event, next event. There was zero downtime. All of the plot, a lot of the background context is in the chapter, beginnings. Before the chapter starts, there's almost kind of like a little appendix there at the top, and that adds to the background context. But it is optional. You can skip that and just go right into it. I really enjoyed the toppers, the chapter toppers. So feel free to read those. The pacing really just didn't let up. And again, the dragons choose. So, they're looking for intelligence, heart, determination, all that good stuff. And I really liked that part. It wasn't just, hey, hop on your dragon and fly away. It's the dragon chooses you, and then you have to like grow your bond. Yep, I already talked about the chapter headers and some things that I didn't like. It seemed like Violet was the underdog for most of the book, maybe the first half, and then the second half she really isn't the underdog anymore. So that kind of takes some getting used to and is part of the plot. And I'm trying not to give anything away here, but it definitely was an attitude shift in the book. So didn't change it was part of her progression, but it just, I don't know. I didn't like the back half as much as the first half when she was the underdog and everybody was out to get her. So the point of view chapter changes once. I can't say anything more than that, but I just really didn't like that point of view chapter. It was a struggle for me. I can't explain why because it's near the end. But yeah, again, this book is intense, lots of fun, very fast paced. There is a low survival rate in that only a fourth of cadets or something like that graduate. And unfortunately, this is only the first book that's only available. The next book comes out in a few months. Looking forward to that. Some things I really want to see in the next book. I want to see more. I expect to see some sibling rivalry between her older sister. More mom time. They really don't talk a whole ton. And so that was interesting there as well. And I think that different riders might have power combinations. So I'd be curious to see if that is a thing. Got some quotes here. Don't borrow tomorrow's trouble. Focus on today. Survive and you'll make it to tomorrow. This is talking about the dragons. They choose for reasons they don't see fit to share with us. And not all strength is physical, Violet. So, this is an instructor saying that, hey, just because you're, you don't have strong bones or whatever, you can still be a strong person. Oranges. I don't want to say anything other than that. That was a fun part of the book. Not because I believe him yet, but because he's not trying to convince me. The truth rarely needs effort, my dad used to say. If it's the truth, it usually fits nicely. That just stood out to me. So, fly or die. That is very an accurate tagline. Really enjoyed it. If you like fast paced, if you enjoyed Harry Potter or Hunger Games, this is an R-rated version of that. And yeah, just an excellent book. Lots of fun. It just flew by, literally. And I want you to always remember to buy your books used or digital.